Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another day of learning. My name is Mr. Zach, and I'm a literacy coach with the Mississippi Department of Education. I'll be your teacher for today's lesson. Today we're going to begin learning all about the writing process. Did you know that all the writers of our favorite stories, movies, books, and TV shows, they all use a process when they write? By using a process, writers can create wonderful stories in fantastic places with interesting characters that make us want to keep reading, watching, or listening. If we know this process, then we can also create our own wonderful stories too, just like the professionals. Today, you're going to learn about narratives or stories. You're going to learn about the writing process. You're also going to learn how to complete a story map using the tale of the Three Little Pigs. In this and the next few episodes, we're going to learn to plan and write narratives. So listen up today to make sure you know everything you need to know when the time comes to plan and write your own narrative. Before we get into the writing part, let's make sure we understand some important vocabulary words that we're going to be using during all of our writing lessons. The first word, process. Now, we're learning about the writing process, but what is a process? A process is just a way to do something. So a process usually has a set of steps that we do in order. So let's think about something that we all do, hopefully every day, sometimes maybe not, but we miss them every now and again. But think about brushing our teeth, right? Brushing your teeth is a process because to do it, you must follow certain steps. First, you must open the toothpaste. The next step is to put the toothpaste on the toothbrush. Then you can brush your teeth, but you're not finished yet because your mouth is all full of foamy toothpaste. So the last step in the process is you rinse your mouth. So can you think of anything else that we do in a process? Getting ready for school, tying your shoes. There are lots of processes out there. And the things that makes a process is that you do it in a certain order and it's a certain way to do a certain kind of thing. Our next word, characters. Characters tell us who is in the story. What's great about characters in the stories is that sometimes they can be people, they can be animals, or in some stories we even have imaginary creatures like dragons or unicorns or even scary creatures like vampires or ghosts if we're reading a scary story. But the characters, the important thing to remember is the characters are the who is in the story. People, animals, or imaginary creatures can be characters. Next, we have the setting. The setting tells us where the story happens. Now, the setting can be anywhere that the author wants it to be. Just use your imagination. One setting could be a big city. If I wrote a story that took place in a big city, then the setting would be a city. Or maybe I wanted to write a story that happened out on the farm in the country. Well, then I would have a setting for my story where all of the things and the characters and all the things that they did would be at the farm. It's only up to you or the writer to determine or decide where you want the setting of your story to be. Plot is a word that means what happens in a story. For a story to be a story in the first place, something has to happen. When writers plan the plot, or what happens in the story, they think about what the characters are going to be doing at the beginning of the story, in the middle of the story, and at the end of the story. And another new word we're going to learn today is narrative. Narrative is just another word for a story. But for a narrative to be a narrative, certain things there are things that must be in this narrative for it to be a narrative. First, we have to have characters, and we know what characters are. We know they're who is in the narrative or the story. We also have to have our setting. Where is the story going to take place? And next, you can see the big question mark, because the plot is the part of the narrative that tells us what happens. And if you remember that last box, it says it's told in order, because for a narrative to be a narrative, the plot has to have a beginning, middle, and end, and it's told in the order in which the events happened. This is a chart called the writing process. We're going to look at this chart throughout all of our writing lessons. The title of the chart is the writing process. Can you say that with me as I point? The writing process. Great job. This chart shows the 3 steps that good writers use when they write. Authors of your favorite books, plays, and movies use these steps to help create their stories. We're going to use this chart whenever we have writing lessons, so let's take a closer look at the 3 parts of the writing process. See my arrow? It's pointing to a word and a person next to it. What is that person doing? That's right, it looks like they're thinking about something pretty hard. That's because before you begin writing, you have to think about the topic you want to write about. And you have to brainstorm. And brainstorm is just a word that means coming up with ideas and planning out the narrative. So that's our plan. Now I pointed to the next word, and there's a picture next to that. What is that picture? What is that a picture of? That's right, it's a paper and pencil, because the next part of the writing process is to start organizing and writing down the ideas on our piece of paper in complete sentences. This is called drafting or writing a draft. And finally, what's the picture next to the word I just pointed to? What is that a picture of? Yep, it's a piece of paper and an eraser, because the last part of the process is where we reread the draft. We're going to fix any mistakes, or we can think of better ways to say and write what we've already written. This is called editing. So let's review the 3 steps of the writing process one more time. As I point, let's say the writing process together. Ready? Go. The writing process. All right, when I point to the next step, I want you to say the step. What's the name of this step? Awesome. It's the planning. It's where we plan, or the planning step. And that's where we brainstorm to get all of our ideas for our story. Next, as I point, what's this part of the process called? Great. It's a draft. Remember, when we draft, that means we take our ideas from that planning part, we put it on the paper in complete sentences. So we go ahead and draft, or write a draft of our story. And finally, edit. And if you'll remember, edit, say edit. That's where we go back, like the eraser shows us. We can fix mistakes, we can look at things that we may have written, and we can change words if we feel like it could sound better, or if we could use a better word here or there. Great job on the writing process, and remember, you're going to be seeing the same process throughout all of our writing lessons. Now, this is another page that we're going to look at. This is called, sorry about that. We're going to use what we've learned about the writing process and narratives to organize our ideas as we think about writing about a story. This is the planning step of the writing process. Now on this page, we're going to call this a story map. And as you can see, on the very top, the first section at the top says, the name of the tale. The name of the tale is the title of the story or fable. So here we should write the title of the fable. The title is usually written in bold at the top of the first page of each tale. Tale is just another word for story or fable, and we're going to use the word tale to refer to the word story during our writing lessons. This planning template is also known as a story map. Now our next two sections ask who and asks where. We should fill in information about the characters and the setting of the tale in these two boxes. It's best to use words right from the tale when we can, because that helps us with spelling our words correctly. Now the next section, or the what, this is the plot section, and it's broken down into three parts. Here we should retell what happened to the tale from beginning, you can see here, once there were, to the middle, where it says next in the tale, and at the end of the tale. But this story map is so cool because it even gives us these transition words and sentence starters to help us put our events in order. For now, we're just going to focus on three events as we retell the plot of the tale: the beginning, the middle, and the end. So today, you will help me use the first step of the writing process, the planning step, to think about the story of the three little pigs and retell it together in a type of writing called a narrative. Remember from our vocabulary lesson that a narrative tells or retells events of a story in order. It includes details about what happened in the story. A narrative includes the characters, who is in the story, the setting, where the story takes place, and the plot, what happens in the story in the order it happened. Today we're going to practice planning a narrative using events from the story, The Three Little Pigs. Listen carefully as I tell you the story so you can help me fill in the story map afterwards. Some of you probably heard this story before. It's definitely one of my favorites, that's for sure. So if you have heard this story before, don't give away the ending to anybody sitting around you. As you listen to the story, remember to pay very close attention to who is in the story, where the story takes place, and what happens in the story in the order that it happened. The Three Little Pigs. Once there were three little pigs who were all grown up and ready to go move out on their own. And our picture here shows those three little pigs. One pig's telling Mama Pig bye, and Mom looks like she's saying goodbye. You know, every pig on the farm at some point has to go and make their own way in the world. So it's time for our three little pigs to leave the house and do that. The pigs had to have a place to live, so they each built a house. Each pig made his house out of different stuff. One pig made his house out of straw. The second made his out of sticks. But the last pig thought that straw and sticks would not make a very strong house, so he made his house out of bricks. He told the other two pigs that straw and sticks alone would not make a very strong house, but they did not listen. He teased the pigs by saying, "You made your houses out of straw and sticks, but only my house is strong because it's made out of bricks." For a while, the three pigs were happy. They were very happy, in fact, until one day a big bad wolf was nearby and he saw them. The wolf decided that these pigs would make a great meal, so he planned to eat them. One morning, the big bad wolf walks up to the pig in the straw house. He sees the pig inside, and he says, little pig, let me in." But the little pig says, "Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin, I will not let you in." So the wolf says, "Then I will huff, and I will puff, and I will blow your house down." And with that, the wolf blew as hard as he could, and the straw house was blown away. Before the wolf could catch the pig, though, the little pig ran as fast as he could to the next pig's house, which was made of sticks. The wolf sees the pig run to the next house. He walks up to the house made of sticks and he says, little pigs, let me in." But the little pigs say, "Not by the hair on our chinny chin chins. We'll not let you in." So the wolf says, "And I will huff, and I will puff, and I will blow your house down." The wolf blew as hard as he could, and you guessed it, that house came falling down. But luckily, the pigs were able to run as fast as they could and got away from the wolf, and they ran to the next house, which was made of bricks. The wolf sees the pig run, so he walks on down to the last house made of bricks, hoping for a big dinner. He walks up to the house and he says, little pigs, let me come in." But the little pigs say, "Not by the hair on our chinny chin chins. We'll not let you in." So the wolf says, "And I will huff, and I will puff, and I will blow your house down." But this time, the house did not blow away. The brick house was so strong that the wolf could not blow it down no matter how hard he tried. The wolf was very hungry by now, though, and he was not going to give up. So the wolf decided to jump up on the roof and fall down the chimney. The pigs can't get away once I get in the house, he thought. But the pigs saw what the wolf was up to, so they put a big pot of boiling water under the chimney, and you can see it right there through the window in the picture. When the wolf dropped down into the water, splash! He was so surprised, and it hurt so bad, that he jumped right back out the way he came, and the pigs never heard from the big bad wolf again. The end. All right, great job. I hope you were listening, and I hope you were paying special attention to those parts of the narrative that we were asking you to pay attention to, because now it's your turn, and I want you to help me fill in this story map. Now, this isn't the exact same page we were looking at, but it has all the exact parts, and they're all in the same place as the story map we were just looking at. Remember, we have the name of the tale. We have to say who or the characters in the story. Where did the story take place or the setting? Then we have the what. Remember the plot or the what? It's got three parts we're going to talk about today. The beginning, and we can start that sentence with once there was. The middle, and we can start that sentence next in the tale. And the end, and we can start that sentence by writing at the end of the tale. So let's go through and fill in our story map. And if you have your paper and pencil ready at home, you can follow along with me, but if not, I just need your help just to help me think, and you can even say it, because sometimes I can even hear what you guys are saying to help me out at home. So, what is the name of the tale that we just read? Oh, I heard a lot of people tell me the right answer. So, the tale we read was The Three Little Pigs. Remember, the name of the tale, tale just means story. So the name of our tale was The Three Little Pigs. Okay? So if you're writing that at home, make sure to spell correctly because you can see the words already. Now, we've gotten the title or the name of our tale, so we want to move on down to our story map and we want to think about our characters. So, who was in this story? Who are our main characters? That's right, that's right. We had, obviously, right, we had the three pigs, so let's write them. And there was one more very important character in this story, and I bet you can tell me who that is. Who was the other character in the story that was very important? Hey, great job. You guys were saying it before I finished asking the question. We have the wolf. Now, the wolf. Wolf. Just making sure you're getting your letters and your sounds. So our characters are our who for our tale of the three little pigs, the three pigs, and the wolf. And where did the story take place? Where could you say the setting of our story was? That's right. I think I'm hearing a lot of people saying the same thing. Maybe they're saying it a little differently. But every part of the action in this story took place at one of the pigs' houses, right? So the setting of the three little pigs is at their houses. That's where all of the action takes place. So where I'm going to write the houses of the pigs. Okay? So there are some words in there that you probably aren't familiar with the phonics rule of decoding, right? So, or writing. So just make sure we're looking at the words and we're getting them on our story map if you're following along at home. All right, so we've got the name or the title, The Three Little Pigs. And we know what the who, we know what our characters are. We know that's who's in the story. We have the three pigs and the wolf. We know the story, the where it took place is at the houses of the pigs, right? How many houses? There were three. And we know about the houses. We know that they weren't all the same, were they? So now that we're looking in the what, we're looking at our plot. And we want to decide how we're going to write what happened at the beginning and the middle and the end. And remember, we just want to pick one event. So if we think about how the story started, where the first pain, remember we were talking about there was the mama pig, and those pigs were all grown up now. It's time for them to go find their way, make their way in the pig world, right? So once there were, awesome, I heard some people say it. Once there were three pigs, but what did they do? Let's add a little bit more to our beginning. Once there were three pigs, but when they moved out, when they got away from their mama's house, what did they do? They had to build houses. So once there were three pigs, I made a happy accident. Pigs who built houses. Next in the tale, that's right. The wolf tries to eat the pigs. He tries to blow their houses down, but what's he trying to do? He tries to eat the pigs. But then, when we think about at the end of the tale, we have to think about our beginning, we have our middle, now we have our end. So how did it end? Did the wolf eat the pigs? No. At the end of the tale, the wolf ran away. So there you have it, guys. You've done such a great job helping us fill in our story map today. And don't forget, whenever a writer is starting to write, we have to make a plan. We have to decide who our characters are, where it happens, the setting, and then we have to decide what the characters are going to do. In our next lesson, we're going to take the same process, and we're going to make a story map with King Log and King Crane. And I can't wait to see you then. All the materials are core knowledge. Thank you.